Panic in Russia as UK and US forces cross into Poland, Warsaw, August 12, 2025. The streets of Moscow were tense today as news spread that a large contingent of British and American troops had crossed into Poland overnight, moving rapidly toward forward positions near the Belarusian and Kaliningrad borders. While NATO officials described the maneuver as a pre-planned multinational exercise, Russian state media called it an unprecedented provocation and warned of severe consequences. A sudden show of force. At 03 Sakr local time, Polish military radar detected a wave of NATO transport aircraft entering Polish airspace from the west. Within hours, hundreds of armored vehicles and self-propelled artillery were being unloaded at railheads across the country. Eyewitness videos posted to Polish social media showed long convoys of British Challenger 2 tanks and American M1A2 Abrams rolling eastward under heavy escort. NATO's Supreme Allied Commander Europe, SACEUR, General Michael R. Langford, confirmed the deployment, stating, "These are defensive forces, here to strengthen the eastern flank of the alliance and deter aggression. This is not about invasion, it is about readiness." However, the scale of the operation was far beyond previous drills. According to Polish defense officials, over 28,000 NATO personnel, the majority from the UK's 3rd Division and the US Army's 1st Armored Division, are participating, backed by attack helicopters, HIMARS rocket systems, and Patriot air defense batteries. Russian reaction from TV studios to the Kremlin. By midday, Russian state television was broadcasting urgent special reports accusing NATO of preparing for a possible strike against Russian territory. Several high-profile commentators urged President Vladimir Putin to mirror the buildup by mobilizing additional units to the Western Military District. In a televised meeting with senior security officials, Putin accused the West of bringing war to Russia's doorstep and warned that Moscow would take all necessary measures to protect its sovereignty. The Russian Ministry of Defense later announced that Iskander-M missile units in Kaliningrad had been placed on heightened alert. Yet in Moscow's streets, the panic was less about missile ranges and more about uncertainty. In several districts, ATM lines stretched for blocks as residents withdrew cash. Supermarkets reported runs on flour, cooking oil, and bottled water, a scene reminiscent of the early days of the Ukraine conflict. Poland becomes the focal point. Poland, already one of NATO's most heavily militarized members, has been quietly expanding its logistics network for months. New rail spurs, ammunition depots, and fuel storage facilities, many built with American funding, allowed the overnight arrival of so many troops to proceed without major disruption. Polish Prime Minister Agnieszka Nowak addressed the nation this morning. "We stand firm with our NATO allies. This deployment is a shield, not a sword. Our goal is to ensure that the borders of the alliance are never tested." Still, Warsaw has placed its own forces on heightened alert. The Polish 16th Mechanized Division has moved into positions along the Suwałki Gap, a narrow corridor of land between Belarus and Kaliningrad that military planners have long feared could become a flashpoint in any NATO-Russia confrontation. A risky balancing act. Analysts are divided on whether NATO's move will deter or provoke Russia. Dr. Emily Hart, a senior fellow at the Royal United Services Institute, told reporters, "This is high-stakes signaling. It reassures Eastern members of NATO, but from Moscow's perspective, it could look like preparation for something bigger." Some Western intelligence officials suggest the deployment was accelerated after satellite imagery showed a large buildup of Russian armor near Smolensk in late July. Publicly, NATO insists there is no connection. The air war that isn't. Yet while ground forces dominate the headlines, the air component of the operation is just as significant. The U.S. Air Force has deployed squadrons of F-35A stealth fighters to Lask Air Base, while the RAF has stationed Typhoons in northern Poland. NATO AWACS surveillance aircraft are flying continuous loops over the Baltic Sea, feeding live data to command centers in Germany and the UK. Russian media outlets claim that Su-35 fighters from the 105th Guards Air Regiment have been scrambled repeatedly in recent days to shadow NATO aircraft approaching Russian airspace. There have been no confirmed incidents of direct contact, but the margin for error is shrinking. Public mood, anxiety, and defiance. In Russia, the mood is a volatile mix. State TV's fiery rhetoric fuels nationalist fervor, but the quiet rush to stockpile essentials suggests deep unease. Subscribe for more videos